Hello, friends, and welcome to Pour and Explore wine, food, and travel stories from around the world. I'm Nick Elliott, the Wine Guy. This is where we sip, savor, and wander through the world of wine, explore incredible food, and uncover the stories behind unforgettable destinations. Each week, you'll hear engaging conversations with wine pros, chefs, travelers, and fellow enthusiasts, plus educational episodes to help you sip smarter and explore deeper. So, grab a glass, pull up a chair, and let's pour, explore, and celebrate the good life. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and thanks for tuning in today. It's so awesome that you are joining me. I really, really appreciate it. Today's episode is let's call it a table manners field guide. We're touring around the world to see what dining rituals tell us about a culture's history, its values, and its hospitality. Because let's be honest, nothing says I'm a tourist faster than breaking an unwritten rule at the dinner table. Stick around this episode because I'm going to tell you why slurping your soup is actually a massive compliment in some places, and why something as simple as where you put your bread could make you look like a total amateur. Appreciate you being here today. Thanks so much, and let's dive in. Let's start in Asia. Dining is as much about respect and ritual as it is about the meal itself. And we're going to start in Japan. And in Japan, there is a big one. In that country, it is very taboo to leave your chopsticks sticking upright in your rice or your noodles. I know it sounds different, but it is definitely going to be taken as dishonor, something like that. It's just a no-no, and it is part of their culture. And the reason behind it is it resembles the funeral rites, and it is a major no-no. You definitely do not want to do that. On the other hand, what you want to do if you're not actively eating with your chopsticks, you're just simply going to take them and place them to the side. There is typically a chopstick rest that is provided to you in most restaurants. What I do, especially here in the States, where they don't offer chopstick rest a lot, I will take the paper from the bamboo chopsticks that are provided, and I'll kind of fold it up a little bit, and I will create my own little chopstick rest. And it's a great way to keep your chopsticks off the table, not leaning on your bowl, and not sticking directly out of your bowl. You know, one of the other things that is part of the culture in Japan, something I mentioned just a minute ago at the top of the show, is slurping your soup or those noodles. Slurping is thought of as a huge compliment in Japan. And basically, it shows that you are enjoying your meal. And of course, what chef, what staff, what host isn't going to want to know that you are enjoying your meal? And beyond saying this is a delicious meal, of course, slurping is definitely smiled upon in that culture. That loud slurping can actually also cool hot broth as it hits your palate, and amplifying the flavors of the soup or the liquid that you're pulling in. If you're eating ramen, udon, things like that, definitely give it a slurp, but do not let your chopsticks stick out. I think that's a good rule of thumb kind of across the board. Anyway, let's change countries just a little bit and talk about China. In China, it's all about the group. You want to serve others before you serve yourself. And if you leave a little bit of food on your plate, it's often a signal to your host that you are full and satisfied. Again, thinking about the people who are providing the food, making sure that they understand that you are happy with your meal. So don't feel like when you're in China or at a Chinese restaurant here in the States or even abroad that you need to overstuff yourself for politeness sake. Speaking to my fellow Americans, it's something that's kind of ingrained in our culture, clearing your plate, make sure you eat everything on your plate, et cetera, et cetera. So it kind of goes against that philosophy that we have in our culture. But trust me, it's not going to be frowned upon in the country of China. All right, moving on to our next Asian country of India. And this is where things get a little, let's call it tactile. Eating with your right hand, never the left hand. Again, eating with your right hand, not your left, is the norm. It's very culturally appropriate. It's all about feeling the food as much as tasting it. You're literally going to be able to feel the temperature and the texture of the rich, creamy curry even before it hits your tongue. But Nick, what if I'm left-handed? Trust me, you will get through a meal or two using your non-dominant hand. Just an interesting little tidbit there for you. So if you ever find yourself in India or even a traditional Indian restaurant and you want to go, if you want to go full cultural native, eat with your right hand, not with the fork. And please don't eat with your left hand if you can manage. All right. Now let's head over to Europe, where traditions are often rooted in formality as well as pacing. In France, for example, it's kind of amateurish to keep your bread on the plate. Your bread goes directly on the tablecloth in France. That's where it belongs. And for the love of Burgundy, tear your bread, don't cut it. They're going to put a loaf of bread on the table. Don't get the knife out. You're gonna you're gonna look like definitely a tourist if you do it that way. You want to hear, the satisfying crackle of a fresh baguette, the crust tearing apart in your hands. And most importantly, in France, don't rush. Don't rush. And this goes for a lot of European countries. Meals are meant to be enjoyed. They're meant to be enjoyed with your friends and your family, loved ones, acquaintances. They're meant to be savored. So don't rush. Meals are meant to stretch out 2 hours, 3 hours, even sometimes 4 hours. So, if you feel you're just lingering a little bit, don't feel weird about it. It's meant to be that way. So some interesting, fun little points about our beautiful France right there. And then moving over to Italy, a couple of interesting little notes for you when you go to Italy. Number one is there is a clock on your coffee in Italy. Cappuccino is only for the morning. Don't order a cappuccino after dinner. You are definitely going to get some serious side eye if you do that. And the reason behind that is, in the Italian culture, it's believed heavy milk disrupts digestion after a large meal. So think about, just having a nice sip of espresso, even decaf espresso will do, but something that's meant more as a digestif, if you will. If you're not going to have an actual digestif, something like amaro in Italy, is meant for that to be enjoyed after dinner to kind of help settle your stomach and help with digestion. So I'm not saying don't do it, but again, you're going to get some interesting eye if you order a latte after your beautiful steak dinner in Italy. And also something to think about culturally and kind of etiquette wise in Italy. Ditch that spoon for your pasta. It's not something they do. That's another kind of American thing that we've picked up that is not an Italian thing. You want to twirl your stringy pasta, your spaghettis and your linguinis and your fettuccinis. You want to twirl those with your fork only and leave the spoon on the side. All right. The neighbor across the pond, the UK, it is all about the continental style in Britain, in England. So that means the fork is on the left and the knife is on the right, tines down on the fork. And even fish and chips, the world famous British fish and chips has its own level of ritual. The arguably the most crucial part of the ritual is the application of salt as well as malt vinegar to your fish and to your chips in large part as well. You always want to add the vinegar first, so you don't wash the salt off of the fish. So you add the vinegar, just a little splash of vinegar, kind of around your plate, add a dash of salt, and that is going to make the beautiful, uh, the sharp, tangy malt vinegar soaking into the hot, crispy batter and then adding the salt afterwards kind of locks it all in. You think about it that way. So again, culturally speaking, this is kind of the way it's done. The as the saying goes, when in Rome, or in this case, when in London or one in Manchester, do as the British do. And sprinkle that vinegar first, everybody, and then add a pinch of salt for the ultimate flavor on your fish and chips. Highly recommended. All right, we're going to move around a little bit. And we're going to move into the Middle East and Africa, where it's all about abundance and generosity. In these cultures, the meal is the extension of the host's heart, if you will. In the Middle East, sharing is the only rule that really matters. Meze spreads and communal plates, really, just piles of food, represent the abundance that I was talking about a moment ago. If you refuse a second helping, you might actually be hurting the host's feelings. So grab another pickled carrot, grab another piece of lavash bread. Make it make your host feel good about themselves, and then you will in turn feel good about yourself. It's about the abundance, and again, making sure that you are bringing in a little bit of their culture into your experience. And I cannot talk about that enough on this show. So I hope you appreciate it. In Ethiopia, for example, going down into Africa, in Ethiopia, you're going to be eating with your hands, much like in India, as we talked about. And in Ethiopia, they use something called injera bread. And the bread is actually going to be a flat, spongy pancake type bread made with fermented flour, and it's distinctly tangy and sour. And it really, really does great with the intensely spiced and slow simmered foods that they serve in Ethiopia. The bread, the injera bread, acts as your plate as well as your utensil, and the act of scooping the food together builds an immediate connection. It really is a beautiful ritual. My wife and I went to an Ethiopian restaurant recently where we just had a lovely time and just kind of had the staff bring us out a bunch of foods that we've never tried. Just let the chef go wild, and it really was an amazing experience sitting down, drinking some ice cold beer with these heavy, spiced, intense foods with that injera bread. And it really was a lot of fun. If you're lucky enough to have an Ethiopian restaurant around you, I definitely recommend giving it a try. It's not for everyone. I'll give it that. But, if you are a little more adventurous with your food choices, Ethiopian is definitely one to try. It's going to be a different experience, I promise. Now, we'll go over to Morocco now in Africa, and in Morocco, they eat a lot from what's called a tagine. And a tagine is it's a clay vessel that kind of has not a pyramid shape, but more of a conal shape on the top. And the food is actually going to be baked in the tagine, and inside you're going to find things like rice and protein, a lot of the time chicken or lamb, and beautiful vegetables. And Moroccan food also incorporates a lot of sweet things into their savory dishes, like raisins, for example. And basically, when you're eating from a tagine, it's going to be brought out and it's kind of family style, if you will. So the culture, the etiquette for eating out of a tagine is to stick to your fraction of the dish. So imagine if there are four of you at the table. You've got a round dish with all of the food in it, and you've got a little plate in front of you on which to put your food. You want to stick to your fraction of the dish. That's kind of that's the etiquette when it comes to eating out of a tagine. And basically, you're just going to take from your little slice of that pie, if you will. You are going to, again, use your right hand. It's very traditional to use your right hand, and you're going to use your bread as a scoop. And again, going against the norm is overreaching. Don't overreach to someone else's side of the tagine there. It is definitely considered rude, especially if you're eating with non-friends or family. That is definitely a no-no. All right, moving on to the Americas. In Americas, we call ourselves the melting pot. So, obviously we have mixed a ton of different traditions together. And here in our neck of the woods, things are a little bit more relaxed, but we still have our little quirks. In the US, we're pretty chill. We have that no elbows on the table rule. Of course, that's something that, was ingrained in me as a child. And growing up, married to a woman from the South, that was very, very much frowned upon. So no elbows on the table is probably one of our biggest rules, one of maybe our only rules, when it comes to eating in the US. And interestingly enough, this rule or this etiquette actually goes back to medieval feasts. Think about a long table full of people, which was the tradition for many, many years. And you've got all of these people at the table. And imagine if they were all leaning on the table at the same time. These trestle tables would collapse if too many people had their elbows on them and were leaning on the tables. So that's really where it stemmed from. I didn't know that until recently. That was a fun little thing that I found out, and I thought was pretty cool. So just a little bit of trivia there for you. And then shooting down to Mexico, you do want to keep not necessarily your elbows on the table, but you want to keep your hands visible on the table at all times. Um, I don't know exactly where this stems from. I didn't do a ton of research into this as I was writing this episode, but I know it's the thing. I spent a lot of time in Mexico, and that is definitely frowned upon. So make sure that everyone can see your hands. I'm sure it has. I don't know what it has anything. I'm not going to make any assumptions. But if you have not heard that before, you heard it here first. So thanks for listening. And please eat your tacos with your hands using a fork and knife. Just another no in Mexico. If it's meant to be picked up with a tortilla, that's how you want to do it. You want to pick it up with a tortilla, no fork and knife for this one. All right. Going down to Brazil, if you're at a churrasco, you've got a little green card. Green Brazilian steakhouse is what we're talking about. You get a little green card. The little green card means keep the meat coming. And on the flip side of the green card is the red side, which means that you're going to take a break, you need a breather, or that you're done. A Brazilian steakhouse is an endlessly flowing parade of sizzling, salt crusted meats carved right off the skewer in front of your plate. But if you don't put your card out, they don't know when to stop. So they're going to keep coming at you with swords full of meat, asking you if you want more. So it's definitely etiquette if you're going to stop or you want to take a break, just put out your card to let them know. My card is usually out for a while. I love Brazilian steakhouses. It is one of my favorite places to be. So the green side is my go-to side, if you will. All right. Well, everybody, at the end of the day, these rules aren't about being fancy. In some cultures, it's about the respect. In some cultures, it's just about, making sure that you're enjoying yourself, and of course, keeping the feelings of your host in mind when you are enjoying your meal. you know, when you take a little time to learn the little details of how a culture eats, you're showing them that you value their story. It turns a simple dinner into a shared moment. And I can't think of a better way to make new friends or to just become one with the place that you are than sharing in their cultural traditions. Um, so thank you for listening. The challenge this week, I want you to, next time you go to a restaurant, any restaurant, especially more of an ethnic restaurant, if you will, I want you to notice the rituals next time you eat out. Look around what other people are doing. Whether you're at a taco truck or a high-end bistro, watch how people interact with their food and lean in and embrace it. If you want to travel and eat like a local without the stress, I've put together a little table manners quick guide for you. It's a little one pager that covers the do's and don'ts that we talked about here, plus a few other little odds and ends that I've put down there for you. So head over to the show notes. That's where you'll find my secret link to all of my happy freebies on the website. While you're there, check out my upcoming trips. I've got some plans to go to Portugal soon and some other great things that I'm doing. So pop on by. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me via email. You'll find that below, as well as social media. Your support is very, very much appreciated. So if you can smash that subscribe button for me or hit that like button, leave me a comment. It would be greatly appreciated. Thanks for coming by. Keep wondering and keep wondering, everyone. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Pour and Explore. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Love to hear your stories or questions. Drop me a message at cheers@thewineguy.vin. That's cheers@thewineguy.vin. Or let's connect on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. Grab those links at thewineguy.vin. Until next time, let's keep wondering and wandering. Cheers, everybody.